Parents of California, and especially those within the Temecula Valley Unified School District, I have something to show you.
At the last school board meeting, we passed a fantastic new policy affirming religious freedom and student privacy in gym locker rooms and in bathrooms.
This actually sounds pretty promising. Let's take a listen.
Parents and guardians can request a religious accommodation, opting their students out of locker rooms where they would have to undress in front of another student of the opposite biological sex. And in addition to that, we have a mental health accommodation.
So it's the girls that have to get a religious or a mental health accommodation to not change in a girl's locker room because a biological boy is there. Let that sink in.
This is a victory for parents' rights. It affirms student privacy and dignity in vulnerable spaces, and we are going to continue in TVUSD to pass certain parental rights and notification policies.
This is gaslighting, and this is a lie. Girls should not have to get accommodations to not change in their own biological safe spaces to make room for biological boys to change in their safe spaces.
Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to react to a video of a school board meeting where a mother is speaking about the impact of one of their policies that involves allowing boys to use the women's bathroom. But what is very prominent in this video is one of the people responsible for this policy smiling while a mother is discussing the impact that such a policy has on young girls. Now, this mother is Chelsea Boyle, and she is known for filing a lawsuit a couple of years ago against the school district because her daughter was punished for writing "All Lives" on a Black Lives Matter poster. So this is what she is known for, and I believe she's been speaking out and campaigning for things that she sees going on in these California schools.
I didn't even know what compelled speech was until I started talking to attorneys.
Let's keep that picture up on the screen. Yeah. Take a look at it. It says Black Lives Matter and any life written on the bottom, and then there's some cute little drawings there. I mean, basically, they're equating this with the Klan, it seems. Alexander, this little girl forced to give a public apology and then prevented from drawing. Since when are our schools allowed to force speech upon kids?
Yeah, absolutely not. Every student in this country at a public school has a right to free speech. Now, those rights are even stronger when a school tries to compel speech. That is, when a school tries to make you say something as opposed to just telling you that you can't say something.
So she filed a lawsuit and she lost the lawsuit as the court said that a 7-year-old in elementary school does not have the right to free speech. The California judge ruled that teachers were right to punish a 7-year-old girl over a Black Lives Matter drawing because she's, quote, too young to have First Amendment rights. The US Central District Court Judge David Carter ruled that students have the right to be free from speech that denigrates their race while at school. Carter added that the drawing was not protected by the First Amendment because of the age of the girl, named BB in the suit. And now she's fighting for the privacy and rights of young girls in school.
Temecula's new parental notification policy is a scam. Melinda and Emil have been active on social media dressing up this policy as a win for parental rights.
Okay, I just want to point out, she just started her speech. This was the very beginning. She comes in and says, "You guys know who I am, and thank you for the introduction," or something like that.
Hi, I guess you guys know who I am because I did have somebody introduce me and use full 3 minutes to introduce me tonight. Came 3,000 miles to see all of you. So let's get right into it.
So from the onset, this guy is sitting there with this expression on his face. Now, I think it's to intimidate her. I think it's to throw her off from the onset. What's he smiling about? She hasn't even started. He's already decided that he's going to try and throw her off from the onset.
A win for girls' rights when in fact they are gaslighting parents and these girls. Nice smile, Emil. People.
Thank you. This woman is not going to be intimidated. I love that. Yeah, I see you. And Now he's slightly, for a second taking his eyes off her. But from the beginning, he sat there with that grin and he kept his eyes fixed on her. This is a guy responsible for this policy who thinks this policy is wonderful.
Don't feel as comfortable as you might bending the truth. Not everybody in this district is religious, and they don't want to lie and claim a religious exemption because girls should be free to change in their own safe spaces, free from biological boys. Their other alternative? Shaming the girls into filing a mental health exemption that would jeopardize their future security clearances and their careers for life. Melinda, you asked via social media for a better alternative, and a common sense solution was provided. If a biological boy does not feel comfortable changing in a boy safe space, he should seek a mental health accommodation, and he should not be allowed willy-nilly, pun intended, to occupy a girl's space.
If they really did have good intentions, why can't it be that the biological boy is the one who has to opt out of using the regular changing facilities and has to fill in certain exemptions to be accommodated in a family changing room or the single stall bathroom? There are always alternatives, but they always ignore the alternatives and force the girls to be the ones who capitulate. And now, okay, technically now the girls can opt out, but they have to fill exemptions for a space that is designated for them. They have to fill an exemption, a mental health exemption. They have to basically sign something that says there's something wrong with me because I don't agree to a boy being in my changing area or in my bathroom. There's something wrong with me. Same old message. From the very beginning, this was the message given to young girls. Paula Scanlon, Riley Gaines went through the same thing where they were told that they didn't feel comfortable with a 6'4" Leah Thomas, fully intact man in their locker room, changing completely, undressed for swimming, that there was something wrong with them and they had to seek counselling. And of course, the counselling services were LGBT-related services.
Leah will be on this team, whether you like it or not, so you might as well not attach your name to something that's going to taint you for the rest of your life. They told us we would have trouble finding a job. They told us that we would be on the wrong side of history if we spoke on this. They said, you'll be forever known for being on the wrong side of transgender rights, and that's not what you want for yourself. That's not what you want for your future career. And then they told us at the end of this meeting, if we objected, we should seek psychological counseling, and they gave us the number for the psychological services. Yes, it's completely hilarious talking about it now, but the worst part about it is it worked. I sat there and I thought to myself, do I need therapy? Do I need a therapist? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's something wrong with me.
Absolutely sick. This is still going on. Unfortunately, this is a policy that passed. She was speaking out, to prevent this policy from passing, and it passed. This is what girls have to deal with now in California, as well as being forced to compete against boys. This is the sort of person who's making these policies. This person sat there with a demented expression on his face, trying to intimidate a mother, in my opinion. That's what I'm seeing right here. Because why are you smiling? What's so funny? What's there to smile about? Even if you truly believe that this policy was so wonderful, you'd be defending it with all seriousness. You wouldn't be sat there trying to distract from what she is saying.
Emil, when you ran for your seat, you hitched your wagon to Wiersma and Komrosky for the win, and I know this. I know this because even though I live 3,000 miles away, you contacted me. You contacted me for advice, for help on your campaign. I've got the text messages, the emails, everything to prove it. You promised to keep students safe. What you said, without safety, we cannot have effective learning. Why does that not apply to biological girls? Their safe spaces and their sports. Emil, can you answer me that? You said we need to keep the divisive ideologies out of schools, and I will make sure to put the activist tenured teachers on notice. Your exact words. What happened? Why did you flip-flop?
See, the policy that he's introduced, to me, it sounds like he's trying to be a moderate. Well, they can opt out, but they're going to have to say that they've got some mental health issues because they don't want to share a changing area with a boy, or they're going to have to sign a religious exemption so they can, be labelled a religious zealot. Because apparently if you don't want a boy in your changing room, it must be because you're a religious zealot. When really, this is just a matter of safety. This is just a matter of basic respect for young girls. You give them their own changing area, and boys. You give them their own changing area for their dignity, for their privacy, so they don't have to change in front of the opposite sex. This is just something that everybody knows to be appropriate. We have had Christians who say this is against my religion because the Bible says he created us male and female. But science also backs that up. Science also backs that up. So you don't have to be religious to have this basic belief in biological fact. A very small percentage of the population is affecting 50% who have a right to their privacy, who have a right to be protected when they go to school. So no, this isn't a moderate stance. This isn't a way to solve the problem. This is a continuation of discriminating against girls.
You hoodwinked me, but worse, you hoodwinked your constituents, the ones whose daughters you're not protecting. This policy alienates and discriminates against half of this district's students. You need to do much better.
So great to see that she wasn't intimidated and she gave a wonderful speech. She exposed this individual. But if anybody needs to sign something saying that they have some mental health issues, I think it's him, not girls who simply don't want to have to change in front of a boy. There's nothing wrong with that. That is not a sign of bigotry or a sign of mental issues or being unstable. Quite the opposite. So she said, spoiler alert, the policy passed by TVUSD makes girls either get a religious exemption or shaming the girls into filling a mental health exemption that could potentially jeopardize their future, their security clearances, and their careers for life. And after this video was posted by Libs of TikTok, who drew a lot more attention to it, she said, thank you, Libs of TikTok, for posting the videos of my speech at Temecula Valley Unified School District. I felt it important to let parents know the dangers in filling a mental health exemption for their daughters in order to keep them safe. Emil Barham wanted other districts in California to use this policy, he wrote, for their own districts. And I couldn't live with myself unless I did all that I could to warn parents of daughters. So parents in California, be warned. It's not a way to fix the problem. It's not a moderate stance. This is a way to lure these girls into, on paper, officially saying that they're the ones who are in the wrong. And this will go on record. That could follow them for life. The young women in Pennsylvania who had to compete against Leah Thomas were told that they may not get jobs in the future. That this will go on record, that they didn't want a transgender person in their locker room. In the same way that racists don't want black people in their locker rooms or in their sports or in their proximity. They liken it to the same thing, to intimidate these young girls into agreeing to go along with it, even though they are uncomfortable. And they're told that being uncomfortable in itself is a red flag and it is something wrong with them. It's really, really disturbing. It's the wrong message to send to these girls. It's telling them that they should let their guard down, that they shouldn't follow their instincts just because somebody has the label transgender or identifies a certain way. And that it's cis men who are the real danger, and against their better judgment, sign an exemption as if it's perfectly normal for a boy to be in their presence when they're undressing or to be undressing in front of them. It's not. And California continues to go down this terrible, terrible route that is destructive to girls and women. So this school district, this Emil Barham, who's responsible for this policy, he should be ashamed of himself. He should be ashamed of how he conducted himself during this board meeting. Unreal. Emil Barham, board member of the Temecula Valley Unified School District in California, smiles as he gets blasted for promoting a policy that forces young girls to get a mental health exemption if they don't want boys invading their private spaces at school. The girls whose bathrooms are being invaded are not the problem. This is absolutely disgusting. Once sanity comes back to society in regard to basic biology, all these people need to be removed from the education system. Administrators, teachers, psychologists, anyone who tried to push this flat earther nonsense. I had to really look for comments that were YouTube friendly, let's put it that way. So thank goodness Chelsea Boyle and other parents are speaking out and drawing attention to this. So let me know what you think. Thanks for watching. Like, comment and subscribe. Take care of yourselves, and God willing, I will see you in the next video.